Welcome back, everyone, to my Session 7 assignments video. This week's readings and presentation topic are on fairness. Actually, my presentation is on absence of bias, which the chapter in Popham used to be called. And he now calls it fairness. He's expanding the topic a little bit. In the last version of his textbook, it was called absence of bias. If there are any of the three legs of the test creation triangle that is misunderstood and used inappropriately, it's the term bias. Simply put, there are only two ways that tests can be biased that you will discover this week. You will discover how you, as a classroom teacher, can ensure your tests are not biased. And a new term Popham adds in this edition is opportunity to learn. Whose fault might that be, I ask? You will have to read the chapter to find out. This week, you will also finish the first draft of your selected response test. Remember, you're going to have 3 different chances to revise this test or to make the test. You're going to make a copy. You're going to post it in this week's discussion board, and that's it. You're not going to do anything else in this discussion board. You're just going to upload it. I'm going to give you feedback. Your group mates are going to give you feedback on your first version. Then you're going to rewrite it and post it in another discussion board. A new group of classmates is going to give you feedback, and you will get to revise it a third time. That's what we call assessment for learning. How many times have you written an assignment and the first time you got to hand it in? No draft. We're going to see later on in the course a Mr. Jones who has his students hand in a draft, yet doesn't give them any feedback on it. Just hand in the draft. It's like, I just want to see if you're doing it. But you will get feedback on your first draft, and therefore your final version should be A+. Like I said, everyone can get an A+ in this course. All right. There are many resources in Session 7. There were some in Session 6 as well, but Session 7, there were many resources that you can use to help you, and also that you need to use to document what you're doing. So here's the assignment. I'm going to go over the assignment. You read Chapter 5 in Popham. There's a quiz on absence of bias. This quiz is true-false, so you only get one chance to take it. So, what's Dr. Tom's advice? Download the hard copy. I've checked it. It's accurate. Download the hard copy, take it, and ones that you might be a little confused about, go into the quiz discussion board and talk to your classmates about them. I don't know why people are reluctant to do that. You all just want to take it again. I want to take it again. But in this one, you can't take it again. So use the quiz discussion board. This is an important research source. Chapter 4 and 5 in Chappuis et al. Chappuis, Stiggins, Chappuis, and Arter. It tells you Chapter 4, I believe, is on sound design, about what questions are matched up, what kind of tests match up with what kind of learning targets. And then the big one is Chapter 5, which goes over the selected response assessment. I believe Popham also has a chapter on selected response assessment, and I have a video. Please, I'm begging you to watch my video. The only thing that I want you to kind of downplay is I said you should write questions on each section. I've revised that now, because I want you to write reasoning questions, and you should be writing questions on the rubrics. And I'm advising you to do it on because this is an assessment course. Write them on the assessment rubrics, and try to get people to able to differentiate or compare and contrast between different rubric levels, but get people to be able to distinguish between what's the difference between a level 2 and a level 3, a level 3 and a level 4. So watch my video. I go into about creating learning targets, the types of questions you have to make, and remember, there are no extended response questions. Some of you are going to create extended response questions, and you won't get credit for that. There's 4 types of questions that you need to create. There's multiple choice, fill in the blank, a matching that has 2 columns, a 2-column matching, and a fill in the blank, which does not have a word bank. Fill in the blank is the one question where you really have to come up with the answer on your own. You don't have anything to select with. All right, so watch my video. I have it in course materials. I have it in the discussion board instructions. I have it on the assignment instructions. My video is everywhere. You can't miss it. Here are the steps that you need to take. 1, become familiar with the EdTPA. You should have done that already. Write 4 to 5 learning targets. Typically people do 4, that's fine. Then you create 20 questions, and then each question I would code to match a learning target. You know, if you make all these questions all multiple choice questions are gonna assess target 1. Well, then you don't know if it's the question type or if it's the learning target that the kids are having trouble with. So if you code your question, so here's a fill in the blank, LT1. Here's a multiple choice, LT1. Here's a matching question, LT1. So now you know if it's the question type or if it's the learning target the student is struggling with. All right. Once again, I remind you there are no extended response questions, only the 4 types, and no word bank. No word bank. Once you complete your first draft, okay, here I go. I'm going to show you. Once you complete your first draft, and I think someone has done it already. Someone has uploaded their first draft, I think. Yes. It looks like somebody has uploaded it. Group 3. Christina, yay! You can see she uploaded it as a Word document. You're not going to reply in this discussion board. You're just going to download the test of your group mates, and in next week's discussion board, and I've already opened it up. Next week's discussion board, you are going. It's selected response, answers with feedback. You got till November 19th to do that. So you take the test, you upload the test you took, and in the reply box, you attach that test, and then you give feedback. You just type the feedback in this one. Right now the groups aren't right. I will be updating the groups. They're still the groups from last semester. Don't panic if you don't see your name in a group. These groups have not changed. Your discussion groups and your first testing groups are the same. So you're going to download, you're going to take the tests, you're going to upload them, attach them as a Word document again in the next discussion board, and you're going to give feedback. All right, it's very important that you watch my test creation video again. There's also ways, I've given you ways to give feedback, I believe in the course materials. Where am I? I believe in coursework by session, in course materials for session 7. As I said, there are many resources for you to use in handouts. Okay, here's resources for creating learning targets, verbs for behavioral targets, tips for writing behavioral objectives. Is this a trick question? Excellent for designing selected response questions. Here are exemplars. Yes, of course, Dr. Tom has exemplars. Here is the rubric, so make sure you know the rubric. Remember, question type, there is an equal mix of reasoning and knowledge questions. Many of you will opt out of that, and you will say, okay, I'm going to get a 2.6 on that, a novice, because you're not going to write reasoning questions. This is a selected response quality checklist. You can see these are ways that you can give feedback. So those are all resources you can use. Hopefully I've explained this correctly. please keep notes on the process, because you're going to have to analyze this whole process, and you're going to have to use citations. So take notes. Make sure you. I have. When I reference something, you can see I always put the correct reference. Make sure here's the EdTPA correct reference. Most of you will not reference that correctly. Scale 2017. So I will know which ones of you have watched my videos and which ones of you haven't. So that's it for this week. Good luck with your test creations. It's on the EdTPA Special Education Handbook. Keep that in mind. Some of you are going to write me and say, can I make a test on my math course that I'm teaching in 5th grade? No. You're going to do it on the EdTPA Special Ed. All right, that's it. I will see you in 1 week.